1, 2, 3.
Welcome to the show.
Can you?
Energy, grab me a positive synergy. I have been doubted through life. Been there and done that with trifling people who told me my style would not work. I told them they wrong. Been struggling too long. This song is for you. I'm proving you wrong. Get out my way. 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 Get out my way.
Scooch, strop top, whiz up, yeah. Hey, you get the bag and fumble it, I get the bag and flip it and tumble it. Straight off the lot, 300 cash, and the car came with a blunt in it. Lil' mama a thot, and she got ass, and she gon' fuck up her bag. Pull up to the spot, living too fast, dropping the dope in the stash. In Italy, got too foreign hoes, they DM me. Draw at the top, when it's cold, but you feel the heat. Be real with me, keep it 100, just be real with me. Eat it up like it's a feast, they say the dope on fleek.
Percocet pill on me, ice on my neck, baby, chill with me. Them niggas that fucked in the back don't say nothing, them niggas a kill for me. Back as I can in my sleep, on fleek. 100K spent on that patty for leave. Bitch, I'm a dog in my tree. Hop out the frog and leave. I put them bricks in the fender. My bitch, she walk around like she Chris Jenner. I used to break in the Emma, then take out running like the game of Temple. It's simple, I play with a mantle. Mama say she saw me on Jimmy Kimmel. Canada, cause I'm a money symbol. Walking with the rats, I'm looking crippled. Fuck on that bitch, then I temple. A nickel for me to take pictures. Not from LA, but I clip 'em. Double my cup or a triple. Box on my body, no biblical. I'm not your average or typical. Look at my wrist and it's critical. Hold it up, dropping the temperature. I get that bag on the regular. I got a bag on my cellular. Back in the bag of them vegetables. Bag of them cookies, it's medical. Cocaine, codeine, etc. Cocaine and lean is federal. I take off landing on Nebula. As a natural, the M's on my schedule.
You get the bag and fumble it, I get the bag and flip it and tumble it. Straight off the lot, 300 cash, and the car came with a blunt in it. Lil' mama a thot, and she got ass, and she gon' fuck up her bag. Pull up to the spot, living too fast, dropping the dope in the stash. In Italy, got too foreign hoes, they DM me. Draw at the top, when it's cold, but you feel the heat. Be real with me, keep it 100, just be real with me. Eat it up like it's a feast, they say the dope on fleek.
I know that these niggas get sick of me. These chains on my neck cause a meal a piece. I don't even like to freestyle for free. I put in the key and I ride the beat. I don't even come out the house for free. I pay a nigga to drive for me. Jay-Z couldn't even co-sign for me. I do what I want cause I'm signed to me. I get the bag. They get the bag cause they cut it in half. Stop the comparing, y'all making me laugh. Need to rehab, I'm addicted to cash. Convertible walk, convertible top. My dope got a vertical, look at it how. And it jump out the pot. Came out the jail and went straight to the top. Take it easy, baby. Middle of summer, I'm freezing, baby. Don't leave me, baby. Just drop to your knees and please me, baby. I'm fascinated. Two bitches so fine that I masturbated. Congratulations. She brought me so good that I graduated. They had to hate it. I don't fuck with them niggas, they plastic, baby. A trapper, baby. I rap but I own all my masters, baby. It's tragic, baby. I pull up and fuck up the traffic, baby. A savage, baby. I'm killing these niggas, close casket, baby. You get the bag and fumble it, I get the bag and flip it and tumble it. Straight off the lot, 300 cash, and the car came with a blunt in it. Lil' mama a thot, and she got ass, and she gon' fuck up her bag. Pull up to the spot, living too fast, dropping the dope in the stash. In Italy, got too foreign hoes, they DM me. Draw at the top, when it's cold, but you feel the heat. Be real with me, keep it 100, just be real with me. Eat it up like it's a feast, they say the dope on flip.
What up? What up? What up? What up? What up, K Love? What it do?
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, great. Can I get? Let me see what ladies I got in here that can help us read. Let me see who else. Who up in here? Let me see. I got King Johan. His voice is out. I got Latrice. What up, Latrice B? Shay, can you come on tonight? House of the Princess. Got some Uber Eats coming and a few things going on in the background. I'll come up after it gets here. Okay, cool. Let me see where Riri, if she's available. All right, let me see. Shay, are you able to come up tonight? I know this is the females, the queens part of the trial. There we go. What's up, Shay?
Hey,
Hey, Shay,
Hey,
how you
Shay.
doing?
I'm okay. How are y'all?
Yeah, Riri.
Good.
Yeah. Can you come on? Awesome. Okay, y'all, Riri coming. Thank you. Okay, here come Riri. Awesome. My crew. How was y'all weekend?
It was great. It was a little short, but it was great.
It was a
It's
little
always
short.
too short.
It is always too short, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It is always too short. Let me ask y'all this. Do y'all got jobs where they allow, like, on my job, I got like 15 vacation days, right? And honestly, I'm just so, I want to use them days so wisely. So I don't know what's the best time to take them because in my position, I'm like, I have a team of like 20 people under me. And I'm nervous that the person that, like my sales manager, I'm just nervous that if I go for 7 days, 3 days, that things is gonna fall apart. I'm nervous. I don't
You
be
can't
knowing.
worry about that.
Yeah, I would say you have to make sure you enjoy your vacation time. Take it when it's best for you.
Yeah,
I would look at like if you're gonna do travel, I would look at like the prices and the peak times and stuff, and take it when it's off peak. That way you get the best of both worlds. Less people applying for that time off, so you're more likely to get it, and more people gonna be there and cheaper rates when you go travel.
that makes sense. House of the
Right. They will
Princess,
be
what
they
up?
will be fine.
They'll be fine. Okay, all right. I
Hey,
trust. How you doing?
I'm okay. Been staying in the house this weekend. I'm sitting here, just finished my homework, working on decorations for my party. So
Oh, you got a party coming up?
Yeah, her
yeah,
birthday.
When your
come on
birthday?
down. Well, come on up.
When your birthday?
June 13th.
Well, turn the hell up then.
You having a virtual party too?
Huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna get it together. Yes, I will.
I know that's right.
Okay, I gotta come back over to the House of the Princess.
Yeah, I want to do a few things. Try to get my life together and get the lights back on in the studio.
I know
My
that's
hard work, like at school, I'm still in school, but the hard work, like I had 6 classes this semester plus
Oh,
full
that's a
time.
lot. Ooh.
Yeah, I've been grinding, so the grinding took precedence over YouTube and everything else.
that's
I
understandable.
get more money on my job than YouTube's fickle behind. So
God
That is,
bless you because when I was doing my master's, I had to go part-time. I couldn't do it on top of working full-time.
yeah, they like you crazy. Even my teachers like, what you doing? What? And yeah, I'm in summer school, and somehow I got a 5-week class, and I got a paper due at the end of the week. It's week 2. I'm like, damn,
Oh yeah.
lady.
That's why I had to drop down to part-time. I had one the paper, then one the paper 2 days later. I could not do that.
yeah, it's rough trying to work and do school at the same time. It's rough, man. That's why every time I get like I be having a lot of young people that wanna like come work for me, but I'll be like telling them like, hey, I don't think you understand um um the commitment that it takes
Yeah,
to be able to focus on trying to make money and focus on getting your academics at the same time. That is very difficult.
it's
People that
like
do it at like I get
when I
y'all.
was younger, I didn't, and I didn't, trying to work and take care of life. But now I don't have to worry about children anymore. We just had graduation, So, I'm out here. I'm doing what I do. So I'm celebrating myself for a change. We had graduation. I graduate this year and I'm turning 45. So
Happy early birthday.
thank you.
I'm
Birthday.
proud of you, princess.
Keep it
What's
up.
that? Purple rains, purple rain. Dun, 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 dun. Purple rains, purple rains. Hey, what up, purple rains? I love that. I love that name. All right, y'all. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Hey, y'all. So just a reminder, I am raising money for us to continue doing these transcripts. So here's the thing, y'all. We usually have anywhere from 30 to 40 people that come in throughout the night. If everybody gave like $3 or $4 or something like that, like we could really, really do this. Like it don't take one person. I do have a few people that always, give, and I appreciate those people. But if I want to continue to do this, there's so much information that we still need to get. And, so the more help I can get, the better it's going to be for us in the future. So, the information, if you want to contribute to the channel, I'll put that at the bottom and feel free to help us out.
When you gave it to me, when I pulled it up on Cash App, it said that the person is not known. Can I just Zelle it to you since I have your number?
Yeah, Zelle is fine. Yeah, Zelle comes directly to me. And like I said, if whatever I got, like if you want me to send you the transcript, y'all family. So yeah. Zelle is probably actually the easiest. And just send a little message, you know what I'm saying? But I do appreciate it. But the more we come together and we do this, y'all, I'm telling you, we can really knock this thing out. So let's get into it. So we are at the top of, y'all remember last time it was about to end and it was on what, 666?
Yeah. Yeah.
Keep going, right?
Right.
Going. Yeah. So y'all can do either Zelle or Apple Pay. Both of them at the phone number. So thank you everybody who does support. Let's move on. So we are at a sidebar right now, and it's starting off as Miss Johnson. Right now, King Johan said his voice is out, so he can't read. So I'm going to be going into different male voices, as y'all know what I do, and so we're gonna make that happen tonight. And ladies, what we'll do, K-Love92, you can continue to please be. Cassie, you are doing an excellent job reading her, by the way.
Thank you.
Riri, you're doing an excellent job reading Miss Johnson. And Shay, you're doing a great job just jumping in and filling in and doing everything. So great job, Miss what's her name?
Gustavo.
Gustavo, you're doing a great job. And let me see who else we got. And Princess, I know you doing Uber Eats and all that and all that. So we'll have you fill in and give breaks if you don't mind helping us out. All right, y'all. So let's get into this. Can everybody see the screen? Everybody see everything pretty good?
Yep.
Yes. Let's hope StreamYard don't act up tonight.
I hope not. Okay, so we're going to start at the top of 667. I'm going to come in as the court. Miss Johnson.
Thank you, Judge. I'm about to introduce the sealed exhibits. I just want to make sure that we're all lined up in the procedure for how we will do this. I would ask that the TV that's shown in the gallery be turned off, and we'll display them only for the well and the court and the jury, and they're already admitted. I also wanted to make sure that there's nothing being played in the overflow room before I do this.
What exactly are you? Because our screens have projectors, okay? But I wouldn't want anyone to see them. So even for parties and the court, what will actually be shown?
It's 6 still images, no sound. We won't have to do any of the headphones. But before we did this, I just wanted to make sure that nothing was accidentally being transmitted to the other overflow room.
I would propose that we take a short recess to make sure that everything is in place. And also, I believe Live Note is not functioning. So kill two birds with one stone. the members of the jury. We're going to take a brief 10 minutes recess, and we'll be back while we arrange some things in the courtroom. All rise for the jury. Okay. All right. We're going to take a 10-minute break. We'll be back in 10 minutes.
Thank you.
Okay, please be seated. We're going to make sure that we make the adjustments as to the overflow room and also the TV back there. It may have a couple of minutes. I assume there is nothing else to address at this time. Well, we're going to try to work out a possibility, and maybe we can see it beforehand so that we don't have to play any part of it, even on the monitors for the parties. Sounds good. We're also working on the live feed. Have we resolved all of our issues?
Your Honor, we have a solution, and we're going to employ that solution after lunch. Before there's still some issues with the screens, but we'll be able to proceed with that section after lunch, and we'll do something else now until lunch.
Could we have Mrs. Ventura back?
Yes.
Miss Ventura, you understand you're under oath?
Yes.
Miss Johnson, you may proceed.
Before I get back to question Miss Ventura, I'm going to offer a few additional exhibits into evidence that were on the government's Exhibit B that Miss Ventura, the drive that Miss Ventura reviewed. So at this point, at this time, the government offers all of these different exhibits and all the subdivisions thereof at this time.
No objection.
Those exhibits will be admitted.
Miss Ventura, before we broke, we were discussing the freak off videos. Do you remember that testimony?
Yes.
Miss Gavin, could you please pull up what's in evidence as Government Exhibit 263? Miss Ventura, are you participating in this chat? Who are the participants in this chat?
Me and Sean.
Miss Gavin, could you put up pages 2 and 3 side by side? Now, Miss Ventura, directing your attention to the blue bubbles at the top of the screen, the second full one down that says, I need you to call me ASAP. Do you see that bubble?
Yes.
And what is the date of that text message?
March 9th, 2014.
And who sent that text message?
I did, to Sean.
All right. Now, directing your attention to the gray bubbles underneath that message, can you read those, please?
I called, pick up. When did he say he saw it? How long ago? Ask him what did the room look like, etc. Girl, you need to act like you need to get this info.
Miss Ventura, do you recall what this conversation with Sean was about?
Yes.
What was it about?
I was in Atlantic City hosting a party with new management company. While they're out, somebody that I was working with mentioned that they had seen sexually explicit videos of me, and immediately my thoughts went to a freak off video. So I reached out to Sean.
And who was the individual who had seen the sexual explicit video of you?
The person who was talking about it, his name was Sujin.
And to be clear for the record, was this individual saying that he has seen the video or just speaking of the video?
He was speaking of a video.
And looking at the next page, page 3, at the gray bubble in the bottom, who sends those messages?
That's Sean.
And can you read the messages?
You got to tell him, it's buffering. You got to tell him this is your life and this is serious. Ask him how did Who Kid bring it up? Did he say, hey, look, I got this video with Cassie? The natural question Sujin would have asked is, how did he get the footage and what is he planning on doing with it? You got to tell him this is your life and this is serious.
Who is Who Kid?
He's a DJ.
And how, if at all, is Who Kid involved in this incident?
I think that he was the one told Sujin about this video, or that's at least what I gathered from the beginning of the conversations.
Taking that down, can you please move to page 43, please? I mean, excuse me, page 4, please. Miss Gavin, can you blow up the bubbles in the middle of the page, starting with are you talking to him yet? Miss Ventura, when Sean said, "Are you talking to him yet?" What's your understanding of who Sean was referencing?
He was referencing Sujin.
And the bottom gray bubble, could you read that bubble?
This is crazy. Do not let him out of your sight. What the F?
In that message, do you have an understanding of who Sean is referencing when he says, "Do not let him out of your sight"?
Yes, he's talking about Sujin.
And you could take that down now, Miss Gavin. And after this conversation with Sean, what did you do, Miss Ventura?
After that conversation, we were headed back in a car from Atlantic City, where the party was, to New York the following day. We were headed there to basically have a conversation with Sujin and Who Kid, and I was accompanied by security.
And who was in the car with you from Atlantic City to New York?
It was me, Sujin, and Carrie Morgan.
And why was Sujin in the car with you and Carrie back to New York?
We were coming from a party and he wasn't in a great condition, but I was told not to let him out of my sight, so he stayed with me.
And who told you not to let him out of your sight?
Sean.
And you also reference having a discussion with Sujin and Who Kid. Did that discussion happen?
There was a discussion that happened later that night.
And where did it happen?
It was at a restaurant somewhere in New York. I don't remember where.
And what was the topic? What was the topic of discussion at the restaurant?
The topic of discussion was where's this video? Does this video exist? Who saw it? What's in it? Like every detail that they could come up with.
And when you say they in that sentence, who is they?
Sujin and yeah, party.
Was it Sujin and Wu Kid?
Yeah, I really didn't speak to Who Kid too much about it.
And you mentioned security. What was security's role in this discussion that you had with Sujin?
I felt like security's role was just to intimidate them and getting the truth and getting real information.
And where was security during this discussion?
We were in the middle of the restaurant floor. I think it was like a lower level, and then the security was lined outside of the room.
All right. And did you invite security to join you at this dinner?
Yeah, I was told to bring as many security as I could.
Who told you to bring as much security as you could?
Sean, but it was set up by whoever was in New York, which I don't know.
And who do you recall from security being present at this dinner?
I recall Uncle Paulie.
And who did Uncle Polly work for?
Sean.
And how did others react at the dinner to the presence of the security?
I think everyone was just scared and really confused. I don't know if everybody knew why we were there. Yeah, I'm not really sure.
And besides security, who else, if anyone, would work for Sean was present at the dinner?
James Cruz, who worked for Sean.
And can you remind the jury of James Cruz's role?
James acted as my manager for some years and worked with Sean.
And turning to a different topic now. After a freak off, how did you and Sean typically recover?
If we were going to stay together like that night or after, we'd usually go back to his place, whichever city, and get IV fluids, massages. We eat. The chef would cook us some food, just trying to take care of ourselves.
And what, if any, drugs did you take after the freak off?
I personally, I had an ongoing off and on addiction with opiates. So I would take the opiates to come down from the ecstasy and the MDMA from like turned up party.
And how did the opiates make you feel?
Opiates make me feel numb, which is why I rely on them so heavily. Yeah, that's the best way to describe it.
And why did you want to feel numb?
I didn't want to feel what was actually going on in my mind in my real life in real time. It was just an escape for me.
And how often did you take opiates after the freak offs?
Pretty often, not every time. There were times when I wasn't on them, but when I was, I was.
And how did you get the opiates that you took after the freak offs?
From a drug dealer or friends, like however at the time.
And were there any occasions when Sean gave you the opiates?
Yes, more so in the beginning of our relationship.
And approximately what years, when you say the beginning of our relationship, Sean gave you opiates sometimes, what years or approximately would those be?
It would be like 2007, 2008 from there.
And as a result of the as a result of the freak offs, what, if any, medical issues did you experience?
I had a lot of stomach issues and like gastrointestinal issues from taking drugs. I would also get frequent UTIs, which are, if you've had one, you know how painful that is.
Just stopping you there, Miss Ventura, what does a UTI stand for?
Urinary tract infection.
And then focusing on that infection, how frequently did you get UTIs?
When we were having frequent freak offs, it was sometimes they were back to back. Sometimes I couldn't get rid of it, and I was actually doing the freak off with an infection.
And when you say sometimes that they were back to back, what's the they in that sentence?
The they is the UTI infection.
And you described that your UTIs are painful. How painful were they?
Very painful. It varied. I would try to flush out, just drink tons of water, cranberry juice, cranberry pills. I got to the point where Cipro didn't even work anymore, which is it it was an antibacterial medicine. Yeah, just was a mess, like really painful for a long time. I actually can't believe that I actually dealt with that.
And did you talk to Sean about your UTIs?
Yeah, he knew that I would get them.
And you mentioned that you have freak offs with the UTIs. Is that correct?
Sometimes, yeah.
And how did it feel to have sex when you have a UTI?
I mean, horrible. It's the most uncomfortable burning. I would not advise it.
Miss Gavin, can you please bring up the government exhibit 340 into evidence? Miss Ventura, who are the participants in this conversation?
This is me and Sean.
And can you please turn to page 2 and 3, Miss Gavin? Miss Ventura, going going to read the message out loud. If you could read the blue message and I'll read the gray messages.
Okay.
You can start.
I feel okay. Just a little achy and tired. How are you feeling?
I feel good. Miss you though. Shake it off and smile all day. I had a great time with you this weekend. Thank you.
Me too. I love you. I miss you.
And what's your day like? What's the plan, Stan?
Studio, cutting vocals, workout after, getting my shit together.
Let's go.
Have a great day. I love you.
Please email me my pics. What you doing? Hello, what you doing? Hello. Before we move on to the next page, what's your understanding of what Sean was referencing when he says, "Please email me my pics"?
I actually don't know.
We can go on to page 4 and 5, please. Miss Ventura, starting at the top in the blue.
Hello, I sent them yesterday.
Not all of them. What are you doing?
Okay, vocals.
How are vocals going?
They're good. I have all these sores on my tongue, so it's kind of uncomfortable. I think I have another UTI. How's your day?
Pausing there. In these messages, you referencing having sores on your tongue. What were you talking about there?
Occasionally, I would get sores on my tongue from the freak offs, the taking drugs, substances, and just friction in my mouth. So, pretty sure that's what I'm talking about.
What was the friction in your mouth from?
From oral sex, also from having my mouth on things where there was oil and astroglide and lubricants.
And how did the mouth sore? And how did the mouth sores that you? How did the mouth sores you would get feel?
Just stinging and uncomfortable.
And below that, you tell Sean, I think that I have another UTI, and I have a sad and have a sad face after that, right?
Yeah,
And how often did you tell Sean about your UTIs?
I was pretty open with him about it, and they were regular, so
I'll continue reading on page 5 with the gray bubbles from Sean. I'm good. Shit, need you to go to the doctor.
yeah, we did a lot.
What you mean?
A lot of dicks, a lot of partying,
Mm.
So, pausing you there, what are you referencing when you say a lot of dicks, a lot of partying?
the freak off.
And related to the photograph, when is this communication with Sean?
The next day it was, yeah.
So, after the freak off?
After a freak off, yeah.
I'll continue on reading with the Sean bubble. So, you feel sick? I'm sorry.
Why you sorry?
Why did you ask Sean why he was sorry?
I really took the blame for things. I don't know. I guess I just don't understand why he was saying sorry about something that happened many times.
You could take that down, Mrs. Galvin. And can you please pull up what's in the evidence is government exhibit 341? Ms. Ventura, who are the participants in this communication?
Me and Sean,
And turning to the next page, what's the date of these communications?
July 18th, 2012.
And relative to the last exhibit that we looked at, do you recall how soon after the last exhibit these were sent?
No, I missed it.
We'll come back to that.
Okay.
And can you read the first sentence of this message here?
I didn't mean that the weekend was hell, but it was on my body.
And what are you referring to when you say, I didn't mean the weekend was hell, but it was on my body?
Talking about the freak off and staying up and partying,
Physically, how did you feel after the freak off?
I just felt so tired and achy and really dehydrated because you're up for so long, not eating too much. I used to try and drink as much as I could, but staying up that long and taking that many drugs for that long is kind of it is what it is.
And how did you feel emotionally after freak offs?
Oh, emotionally, at the freak offs, we're just like empty, especially if we didn't continue our schedules. Sean and I together, if I didn't stay with him or whatever, it just felt like, okay, I did my job and now I'm going about the rest of my life. Yeah, they're pretty empty. I definitely felt just gross, same feelings over and over.
And you could take this exhibit down, Mrs. Gavin. And Miss Ventura, other than the freak offs, did Sean ever ask you to participate in sexual activities involving other people?
Sex clubs, but I wasn't really asked for participation, I wouldn't say.
And what is a sex club, first of all?
A sex club is a club where they have special rooms where you can have sex with people.
And when, if ever, have you visited a sex club?
I visited a few with Sean over the years. New York, I don't know what it's called. Las Vegas has a club called the Green Door, and there are some in Los Angeles that we would drive to.
And whose idea was it to visit the sex clubs?
It was Sean's.
And did you ever want to go to the sex clubs?
I didn't. I was always terrified and would drink quite a bit.
And why were you terrified?
It wasn't an experience that I was into, it just wasn't my thing.
Now, yesterday, you recall telling the jury about Sean discussing the swingers lifestyle with you?
Yeah.
And what did Sean tell you that swinging was?
I mean, based off of what I kind of already knew already and what he told me, it was you could swap partners and that everybody's okay with it. It's a certain type of lifestyle and that was a turn on for him.
And how, if at all, did your understanding of the swingers lifestyle relate to the freak offs?
I related them pretty closely just because of the sexual nature and me actually having intercourse with somebody else besides him.
And did you want to do the freak offs?
No.
And you went to the sex clubs with Sean. Who else, if anybody, was with you?
Sometimes an escort would go with us. One time we went with an escort and their spouse, their girlfriend.
And whose idea was it to have an escort come with you?
It was Sean's and the escort, I guess.
And which escort came to the sex club with you and Sean?
Jules.
And is that the same Jules from the Intercontinental Hotel incident?
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you would drink before going to the sex clubs. Is that correct, or is that right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
what else, if anything, would you ingest before going to the sex clubs?
I mean, alcohol, if that's what was there, MDMA, ecstasy, GHP was a big one.
And who provided you with the MDA, the ecstasy, or the GHP?
Sean.
And at the sex clubs, who, if anyone, did you have sex with?
I had sex with Sean and Jules at a point.
And did you want to have sex with Jules?
No, not at the sex club. No, no.
And did you want to have sex with Jules ever?
No, no. Jules was like within all of it, like a safe place. I saw him a lot. We actually had our own friendship. So being able to have sex with Jules instead of somebody at the club was much better than having to have sex with somebody else that I didn't know at the club, if that makes sense.
All right. Now, why did you have sex with Jules at the club?
Because I was just that's what was happening. Sean would request it or we would just do it. It's what we did.
And did you want to be having sex with Jules at the sex clubs?
No.
And what was your reaction to visiting those sex clubs?
It was just confusing. By that point, I was pretty messed up. I remember there being a time where I just got way too drunk to do anything and we had to leave. It's just uncomfortable when it's not something you're into. I'm not into seeing the person I'm in love with be with somebody else. That's not my thing.
And what, if anything, did you tell Sean about whether you wanted to go to the sex clubs?
I was vocal about it. I told him it made me uncomfortable. He knew. He knew how I behaved.
Shay. Oh, she not here. Oh, hold on. Where's she? Oh, all right. Shay, you was on mute. Go ahead, Shay.
Yeah, I was trying. Objection.
That's sustained.
That's you.
Miss Johnson, you can move on to another question.
Miss Ventura, how long were you with Sean in total, and how many years?
Almost 11 years.
And during those 11 years, did you become familiar with Sean's moods and his actions?
Yes.
And did he become familiar with yours?
Yes.
And when you would tell Sean that you didn't want to go to the sex clubs, how would he respond?
I feel like I feel like some of the time he would just try to turn the energy around and just try to keep it positive.
Objection.
That's overruled.
And what do you mean turn the energy around? Can you give me an example?
I mean, just be playful and fun instead of scary. Like it wasn't always like a scary thing with him. Can you repeat it?
Sure. When you would tell Sean that you didn't want to go to the sex clubs, how would he respond?
Yeah, it varied on the situation, but he'd really just like push, keep pushing, or just try to convince that would be a fun thing to do, or we wouldn't go for long, or
Did you end up going?
yeah,
And why did you drink so much when you went to the sex clubs?
because I didn't know how to be there sober.
So, moving on to a different topic, we talked about the Intercontinental yesterday and this morning. And aside from that incident, when, if ever, did you leave a freak off before it was finished?
There were other times where I tried to leave, but I would always end up back at the room.
And why would you try to leave?
If we were just having a bad time, if I was scared of him, if I felt uncomfortable, unsafe, would just leave and go. Sometimes end up in the kitchen at the hotel, like hiding. It depended on what it was.
And when you left the hotel room, where did you go?
Typically out the back of the hotel, like I would try to find my way out the back into like alley spaces. I remember doing that at the L Hermitage a lot.
Is the L her marriage in Los Angeles?
Uh-huh.
And then you said that you would always end up back in the room. Is that right?
For the most part, yeah.
And where were there occasions where you didn't end up back in the room?
Not that I recall, except for the Intercontinental time.
And how did you end up back in the room?
Sean would find me. He would come looking for me and find me, call me. Yeah, I would be found.
And after Sean found you, where would you go?
Back to the room.
And would the freak off continue back in the room, back at the room?
Usually, yeah.
And were there times that you were injured at the freak offs?
Yes.
And how were you injured?
Put his hands on me, or yeah,
And who would put their hands on you?
Sean.
And when you say put their hands on you, can you describe what actions he would take?
He would grab me up, push me down, hit me in the side of the head, kick me, like you name it.
And who else, if anyone, was present when Sean put his hands on you at the freak offs?
Sometimes it was just us, then other times there was an escort close by.
And were there occasions when the escort was in the same room with you and Sean?
Yeah, we were in the same hotel room.
Same hotel room or the same room within the suite?
Hotel room. I don't remember specifically somebody watching me get beat up.
So just so clarify, do you recall if the escort was present in the same room while Sean was putting his hands on you at a freak off?
Yes.
And who do you recall being present for that?
Jules.
And were there any other times where the escorts was present in the hotel room but not in the room inside the suite where you and Sean was putting his hands on you?
Yes.
And if you know, were the escorts aware of what was happening between you and Sean on those occasions?
Objection.
It's overruled.
Do you want me to ask it again, Mrs. Ventura? On occasions when you were inside of a hotel room and you and Sean were in one room and the escort was in a different room in the suite, if you know, were escorts aware what was happening in that room where you and Sean were?
Yes, because they could hear it and would ask me afterwards if I was okay. So yeah.
And would you know the that the escorts heard it because they asked you if you were okay?
Yes.
And how soon after the freak off started was Sean physical with you during the freak offs?
I mean, within that first year, we were definitely partying quite a bit.
And in what cities do you recall Sean putting his hands on you during the freak offs?
You said city?
Which cities?
New York and Los Angeles for sure. Miami?
And how frequently Did Sean put his hands on you at the freak offs?
Too frequently. A lot.
Now, I'm going to move to a different topic now. Ms. Gavin, can you please pull up what is in evidence is government exhibit B 255? And Ms. Ventura, who are the participants in this communication at government's exhibit B 255?
Me and Sean.
Ms. Gavin, can you please turn to page 2? Ms. Ventura, directing your attention to the top message. What's the date of that message?
It's August 5th, 2013.
And can you read the first message?
We went across to the Abbey. The gays live on a Sunday. LOL.
Who sent that message?
Me to Sean.
And when you say the Abbey, what's the Abbey?
It's a club in Los Angeles. On Sunday, it's a gay club.
And when you say we, who is with you at the Abbey on August 5th, 2013?
I was there with Deontay and a group of friends.
We can take that down. And Ms. Gavin, can you pull up for identification for the court and the parties government exhibit 2A-504? Ms. Ventura, do you recognize who is depicted in the government's exhibit 2A-504?
Yes, that's Deontay Nash.
And how do you recognize Deontay Nash?
He's my friend of many years.
And is this a fair and accurate photo of Deontay Nash?
Yep.
The government office offers government exhibit 2A-504.
No objection.
It will be admitted.
Ms. Gavin, can you please publish the exhibit to the jury? Ms. Ventura, is this the Deontay who was at the Abbey with you on August 5th, 2013?
Yes.
After the Abbey, where did you go?
After the Abbey, I went back home to my apartment on Doheny, and I was supposed to be packing for a music festival.
Ms. Gavin, you can take that down, this photo. What music festival were you going to?
OVO Fest.
And what's the OVO Fest?
It's a music festival in Canada that the artist Drake throws.
And who else, if anyone, was at your apartment while you were packing?
Another friend, Mia, was with me and Deontay.
And what happened at your apartment while you were packing?
When Sean came in, I was actually asleep, and it was just commotion. Him yelling at us about me being passed out on the couch, about me being asleep and not packing. Deontay and Mia had jumped on Sean's back because he was trying to attack me. Eventually, we ended up in from the living room into the master bedroom, and I think they were still jumping on his back. When he threw me down, I cut my eyebrow on the corner of my bed.
A couple of follow-up questions, Mrs. Ventura. When you said that they were jumping on his back, who was jumping on whose back?
My friends Mia and Deontay were jumping on Sean's back.
And you said that you got thrown down onto the bed frame. Is that right?
Yep.
And who threw you onto the bed frame?
Sean threw me onto the bed frame.
And what, if any, injuries did you have?
I had a pretty significant gash on the side of my eyebrow.
Ms. Gavin, can you please publish what's in evidence as a government exhibit B-247-A? Ms. Ventura, do you recognize what's depicted in this exhibit?
Yep.
What is it?
That's my eyebrow after I was thrown.
And after you were thrown into the bed frame as you just described?
Yes.
And who threw you?
Sean.
What, if any, medical treatment did you receive for the injury depicted in the government's exhibit B-247-A?
I didn't go to the ER or anything. It was a Sunday, so nothing was open. Sean had security bring me to a plastic surgeon's office that opened up in Beverly Hills that Sunday to suture it.
And when you're saying security, who from the security brought you to this doctor's office?
D Rock,
And whose choice was it for security to accompany you?
Sean,
You could take that down, Mrs. Gavin. And can you please pull up what's in evidence as the government's exhibit B-247? Now you can publish that. If you go to, or before you go to page 2, I'm sorry, on page 1, who are the participants in this communication?
me and Sean,
And can you please go to page 2, Mrs. Gavin? And what date did you send this photograph, Miss Ventura?
August 5th, 2013,
And who did you send it to?
to Sean,
And what does that text accompanying the photograph say?
so you can remember.
And why did you write to Sean so that you can remember with the image of your injury?
I didn't want him to forget what he did
And why didn't you want him to forget what he did?
because it's awful. The very least, I wanted him to be sorry about it.
Mr. Ventura, what is the timestamp of that message when you sent this photograph?
It says 11:48 a.m.
And that's on August 5th, 2013.
Yeah.
Ms. Gavin, can you please return to the government's exhibit B-255, which is in evidence, and you can publish page 7 of the exhibit, please? If you can zoom in onto the bottom of that screen, please, starting with the third message from the bottom. Miss Ventura, directing your attention to the top message, what's the date and the time of this message?
August 5th, 2013, 11:51 a.m.
And is that approximately 3 minutes after the photograph that you just sent to Sean?
Yes.
And can you read the message in gray, please?
You don't know when to stop. You have pushed it too far and continue to push. Sad.
Who sent that message to you?
Sean,
And can you remind the jury what you were doing when Sean came into your apartment?
I was sleeping.
And how did you respond to Sean?
Just say sorry. Have some sympathy. I came in saying sorry and I didn't even know why I deserved that. You could care less if I was okay.
So you mentioned that you were at home packing when Sean came over. Did you go to the music festival that you were packing for after this incident?
Yeah.
Miss Gavin, can you please take that down and pull up what's in evidence as government exhibit B-207? Miss Ventura, who is depicted in government's exhibit B-207?
That's me in French Montana, who was another artist.
And where are you in the photograph at B-207?
We are in a green room in Canada, in Toronto at the OVO Fest.
And was the cut on your eyebrow visible in this photograph?
No,
And why is it not visible?
because I styled my hair over it.
Is that your hair on the right hand side of your face when you're looking at the photograph?
Yeah.
After the OVO Fest, where did you go?
We went to the Hamptons from there.
And you could take that down, Mrs. Galvin. And when you were in the Hamptons, what, if anything, happened in the Hamptons?
Sean wanted to have a freak off, so after we hung out with our friends for a little bit, we ended up booking a motel and drove there.
And which escort attended the freak off in the Hamptons motel?
It was Dave.
Ms. Gavin, can you please pull up government exhibit 2A-612 in the evidence? Ms. Ventura, in this Is this the Dave that you were just referring to?
Yes.
And you could take that down, take that down now, Miss Ventura. What, if anything, happened at the motel in the Hamptons after you arrived?
At that time, we were taking GHB, and I spoke before about going into a K hole, and on G, you can go into a G hole, and I blacked out, and that's what happened to me. And I woke up nude in the shower, and Dave and Sean were just freaking out, like outside of the bathroom,
And what was your understanding of why Dave and Sean were freaking out when you woke up nude in the shower?
because I blacked out, and I'm not sure. I didn't see myself, but it wasn't pretty.
And after you woke up in the shower, what happened next?
I spoke to one of Sean's friends over the phone, and then we had a freak off
With Dave?
with Dave.
Miss Gavin, can you please pull up the communication and government exhibit B-247 in evidence? And can you go to page 3, please? Miss Ventura, what is the date of that? Before I get to the date, what does the photograph depict in this exhibit?
It's my eyebrow healed up a little bit.
And what's the date of this image?
August 13th, 2013.
So is August 13th, 2013, a little over a week later from August 5th, the date that you were injured?
Yes,
And how soon after the OVO Fest did you go to the Hamptons?
right after.
And how soon after your injury on August 5th did you go to the OVO Fest?
Right after.
And what, if any, scars do you have from this injury?
I have a permanent scar on my eyebrow now. I just cover it with makeup.
And you could take that down now, Mrs. Gavin. Miss Gavin, can you pull up for identification only for the court and the parties government exhibit 9D-102? Where did you go? Miss Ventura, do you recognize who's depicted in the government exhibit 9D-102?
Yep, that's me. And at the Cannes Film Festival, I'm not sure what year.
And how do you recognize yourself at the Cannes Film Festival?
I do. That's me there.
Is that a fair and accurate photograph of you at the Cannes?
Yes.
The government offers government exhibit 9D-102.
No objection.
It will be admitted.
Miss Ventura, when you were at the con, that year, that the photograph was taken, where were you staying?
I was staying on a boat with Sean. It was one of his friend's yachts.
So was Sean also at the con with you?
Yes.
And prior to the red carpet photograph depicted in government's exhibit 9D-102, what, if anything, happened at the con with Sean?
We got into an argument. He was actually accusing me of taking drugs from him and kicked me off the boat with no shoes. Early one morning, I walked over to his staff's hotel and I stayed in somebody's room over there.
And when he kicked you off the boat with no shoes, what else, if anything, of yours was still on the boat?
All the stuff I flew there with, my passport, everything.
And related to the red carpet depicted in 9D-102, when were you kicked off of the boat?
Earlier that morning,
And the red carpet that's depicted in government's exhibit 9D-102, what was the occasion for that red carpet event?
it was just a movie premiere.
And did you attend the movie after the red carpet?
I did.
And you could take that down, Mrs. Gavin. Who else was at the movies, if anyone?
Sean in security.
And who do you call from security being present?
I don't remember.
But when you say security, was it Sean security?
It was Sean security, yeah.
And what, if anything, happened during the movie at the con?
During the movie, we hadn't spoken. Sean and I hadn't spoken at all since the incident where he kicked me off the boat. So it was just getting evil glares. While we were sitting together during the movie, he would grab my leg and like squeeze my thigh as tightly as he could. And I was wearing a beaded dress, so it was really painful, but nobody knew, just squeezing my leg.
And after the movie, how soon did you return to the US?
Within the next 24 hours, I would say.
And how did you get back to the US?
We flew on a commercial flight on the same flight
And what city did you fly into?
to New York.
And where did you sit on the commercial flight?
I had a seat that I traded with someone else because I didn't want to sit next to Sean at that point. And then he switched seats with the person next to me at that point. So we still ended up riding together.
And what, if anything, did Sean show you on the flight back to New York from France?
He pulled up videos that I thought I had deleted, some freak off videos out of his computer. Like I thought I really deleted them out. He had them pulled up and was playing them for me on the flight back to New York.
And now, what device was he playing? Where did it go? What device was he playing them for you?
On his laptop, one of his devices.
And were there other people around you when he was playing the freak off videos?
Yeah,
And what did he say about the videos while he was playing them for you on the plane?
that he was going to embarrass me and release them, just threats to release the videos.
And when Sean was playing the freak off videos for you on the plane, how did you feel?
Couldn't have felt worse. Also scared. I just had my sort of got my passport back. I just felt trapped. Like, how do you get out of the situation when somebody's, I don't know, felt trapped?
And when you landed in New York, what did you do?
We landed in New York, ended up going to a dinner, and he wanted to have a freak off. So we had a freak off
How soon after dinner did you have a freak off?
right after.
And how soon after landing in New York was the dinner?
Within a couple of hours, an hour or two.
And why did you do the freak offs?
Honestly, at that point, whatever was going to make him not be angry at me and threatening me, I was willing to do. Yeah, I just didn't want to feel scared anymore. And one thing he made me feel I was good at,
What concerns did you have if Sean was threatening you?
that he could put these videos out and ruin everything for me, embarrass me, just make me out to be somebody that I'm not in a very unfair way.
And why did you think it was unfair?
Which part?
You just said that it was it was a very unfair way. Can you explain what you meant by that?
I mean, the leverage of having an incriminating or derogatory, humiliating video of somebody, telling them they're going to release it if you don't behave the way they want you to, or whatever the case may be, it was just always like that. Like that was a big part of our relationship.
And who told you that the videos would be released?
Sean,
Miss Gavin, can you please pull up what is in the evidence is government exhibit B-248? Miss Ventura, who is the participant in this chat?
me and Sean,
Miss Gavin, can you please pull up pages 2 and 3 side by side? Miss Ventura, directing your attention to the top bubble on page 2, what's the date of that communication?
June 15th, 2013.
So I'll read the gray bubbles and you read the blue bubbles. I'm here.
Coming.
Yo, I'm outside.
Your sex makes me hot. No, like literally. I feel like I just took a PK, lol.
Pausing you there. When you say that you feel like I just took a PK, what does PK refer to?
A painkiller?
Is a painkiller the same as an opiate that you were describing earlier?
Yes.
And when you say that your sex makes me high, whose sex are you talking and referring to?
Sean's.
And during your relationship, and during your relationship, who did you want to have sex with?
Wanted to have sex with Sean.
And continuing on, dope. I was thinking about a freak off, but I need to be focused. Hello?
You do or I do? Hello?
We both do. I was just telling you my thoughts.
LOL. I've been thinking about one too. We were pretty focused last time. Just has to be the right people or person.
So, pausing there, when you say laugh out loud, I've been thinking about one, two. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the freak off.
And why did you respond to Sean that way?
This was just kind of a normal way to respond if he was throwing the idea out there. That's something he wanted to do. Didn't want him to think I didn't want to, so that's what I said.
And why didn't you want Sean thinking that you didn't want to do a freak off?
Because then it would be a problem. Just end up fighting.
And what, if anything, would happen when there was a fight?
When there was a fight,
Objection.
Grounds.
Speculation.
It's overruled.
Miss Ventura, you were saying that you responded like this because you were worried about a fight. What, if anything, sometimes happen during fights?
fights were never good. Fights were just never good for any couple. If it was going to be something he really wanted to do, like it was going to happen. When someone's violent with you at any point, like that's
Objection.
That's sustained. Miss Johnson?
Miss Ventura, prior to the communication on June 15, 2013, had Sean been violent with you before?
yes.
How many times approximately?
Who knows?
And what concerns, if any, did you have about Sean being violent with you?
It was always a concern if we weren't agreeing on something, or if I didn't want to get high, or if I didn't want to do exactly what was being presented as something to do. It's the same thing every week.
And prior to this message on June 15th, 2013, had you told Sean in the past that you didn't want to do the freak offs?
Yes,
Once or more than once?
more than once.
So let's continue reading. I'll finish with the gray bubbles on the bottom of page 3. The only way that I could do is if it was all right. I got some more G. Pausing you there before we turn the page. What is G referring to there?
The drug, GHP,
Is that a drug that was used at the freak offs?
sometimes.
And who provided the GHP?
Sean,
And can you please turn to the page, please, Miss Gavin, to page 4 and 5? And can you pick up reading there?
exactly. Good G,
That's what they told me. Haha.
question mark.
Call HS. Where's my pizza? Pausing there. What does HS refer to?
House is an abbreviation.
And can you pick up from the blue bubble?
Picking it up now, what were you talking about before? Who told you that? Who told you what?
Call HS.
What was the message from before about Ash isn't answering, Ben isn't here?
Pausing you there. Who's Ash and Ben?
They're both escorts that were working with Garen.
And did you see pictures of Ash this morning?
Yes.
And picking up. Did you call Garen?
Yes, he told me.
And does he have someone?
Probably just the guys that we said no to before. Jules hit you back.
Pausing you there. Is this the same Jules that we previously discussed?
Yes.
And Jules is an escort.
Yes.
All right. Now turning the page from Sean. Jules can do 12. We need someone from 9 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah, he said 12. So see what he has for 9.
Checking.
And do you need to go shopping?
Yes, I'm going to go as soon as we're good.
Go. Time is ticking. Can you scroll down just a little bit? Go. Time is ticking. I'm getting RM now. Go. Time is ticking. I'm getting RM right now.
Only one available. He said good reviews. Jake, do you want me to keep going?
I'm sorry, Miss Ventura. In the message you just read, is there a photograph accompanying that message?
Yes.
And how would you receive that photograph that you transmitted?
From Garen?
You can continue.
All right, so let's go ahead and let me give you a break, Riri,
All
uh,
right.
and let's go ahead and bring Princess. You back yet?
Oh, I've been back. I'm in 8. I was sitting here.
Okay, Caleb, do you want a break?
I'm good.
Okay, Shay, can you come in and read Miss Johnson, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
What you want me to do?
I will have you come in and read Miss Gustavo. That'll be taken. You'll read Miss Gustavo.
Okay.
Okay.
And how would you have received that photograph that you were transmitted?
From Garen?
You can continue.
Jake, the white guy, is also, but Jake can't do until 11 o'clock.
And who is Jake?
It's another escort.
Were you shown a photograph of Jake earlier this morning?
Yes.
You can turn the page, Miss Gavin. You can continue at the top.
The other guy can do earlier.
What you think?
He said maybe he can get Jake for 10 o'clock. Up to you. It's just one more person knowing our secret. Jake can do 10 o'clock.
When you said it's just one more person knowing our secret, what did you mean by that?
I'm referring to the freak off and just the shame of the secret.
Why were you concerned if people knew about the freak offs?
It's not what I wanted people to know about.
Is that because you didn't want to do them?
Yeah, it's because I didn't want to do them and I just didn't want to be a part of that.
Picking up in gray. Call HS. Jules said he could do 9 o'clock. Want to join? Want to just have him after Jake?
Up to you. If you want to start sooner, we should do that.
Call HS. Let's do Jake 10 o'clock. MK, sure he's on time. I'm gonna do Jules at 1 a.m. SLS. Before you start picking up reading, what does SLS refer to if you know?
It's a hotel in Hollywood.
Is that a hotel where you and Sean had freak offs?
Yes.
You can continue reading, Miss Ventura.
Okay, I'm about to be home. Want me to come get you?
You can turn the page, Miss Gavin. I'm horny. OM, playing trouble with girls. I'm about to leave.
To go where? Hello?
CM down. I'm pulling it up to you now. You okay?
Yes, one way, HM. You at the airport? You got valleys? I'm so tense.
When you say valleys, what are you referring to?
I'm referring to Valium.
What is Valium?
I think it's a benzo. It's like a Xanax.
When, if ever, would you take a Valium in relation to the freak offs?
If I had anxiety, if I just felt like my heart was racing too much, I'm not a fan.
Picking up with the gray bubble. Yeah, driver bringing. I called you. Pausing there. When Sean says driver bringing, what do you understand him to be referring to?
The Valium,
And whose driver would bring the Valium?
Sean's driver.
Who was Sean's driver, if you know?
At this time, Fahim, I think, but I'm not the year. I don't really know.
Was Fahim one of Sean's drivers during that time that you were in the relationship with Sean?
Yes.
That last blue bubble. Can you read that blue bubble?
You are truly the most extraordinary man. I love you so much. You make me a better woman, daughter, sister, person. I hope that you always know how much I love and appreciate you. Thank you for always showing me love and happiness the way it's supposed to be. Can't wait till we have a baby of our own to celebrate Father's Day. I love you with all my heart. Happy Father's Day again. Smiley face.
Why did you send that message to Sean?
Because I loved him and it was Father's Day.
That girl was stupid.
Okay, I was just
God
disgusted when.
damn, girl. Oh,
What relation, if any, did the messages before about freak offs have to do with this message about Father's Day?
They're completely separate.
We can take that down. Miss Gavin, can you please pull up Government Exhibit 512? That's an evidence. If you can, turn to page 2, please. Could you blow up this bubble? Thank you. Miss Ventura, what's the date of this conversation, of this communication?
January 7th, 2017.
If you can tell from this page, who sent this communication?
I did.
Who did you send it to?
To Sean.
What does it say?
Nothing good comes out of freak FOs anymore. You treat me like you're Ike Turner.
What does FOs refer to?
Freak offs.
When you told Sean that he treated you like Ike Turner, what were you referring to?
Abusive, controlling.
What specifically did he do to be abusive and controlling?
On this date or just in general?
In general.
Just he was actually physically abusive. That's been said. He put me down a lot. As much as I was built up, I was put down quite a bit. And that's also just like the sheer embarrassment, like how he treated me in front of other people.
Your Honor, it's 12:30. I just wanted to check in on when the court wanted to do a lunch break.
if you come to a good landing place, so we can do a break.
This is a good landing place because I'm changing topics next.
Thank you. Members of the jury, as a reminder, do not talk to each other about this case and do not look up or talk to anyone about the case. We'll be back at 1:15. All rise for the jury. Okay, Miss Ventura, we'll be back at 1:15.
Thank you.
Please be seated. Ms. Levick, have we resolved the issue with the Rule 106 issues, or do we need to pick that up now, or do you prefer that we pick it up at the end of the lunch break? Let's see. If you want to read that, Riri Slavic.
Okay.
Thanks.
That's exactly right. I'm happy to run
I'm
through.
sorry. It's number line 9.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Your Honor, I believe that we resolved many of them. There continue to be 3 exhibits where there is disagreement. I'm happy to provide those exhibit numbers for Your Honor. It's B-409, B-511, and B-619.
Are the disagreements still the same? Meaning that I have here highlighted the differences in terms of what I received yesterday. Are they the same?
That's exactly right. I'm happy to run through at the high level what those differences are. With respect to each exhibit,
Let's start with 409.
B-409, the defense proposes adding
Actually,
over.
hold on. Ashley, that's a lot. So, House of the
Okay.
Princess, if you don't mind reading that, I'm gonna let you get your break, Riri.
Okay,
Can you please read, Miss Slavic?
I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna come right back in so I can
Okay,
change my screen around.
sure.
Okay.
All right. Can you
So you
read,
want me to
please?
Slavic instead?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Please.
B-409, the defense proposes adding over 10 additional pages regarding the conversation between the defendant and Ms. Ventura about masturbation. The government submits that this additional conversation is neither explanatory nor relevant to the section that the government proposes admitting.
Response? You can read Miss Garagos too.
I think the reason we added additional pages is it started off on the government's exhibit, started off on, man, I just looked at my iPad. I had to stop. We wanted to put the full context of the conversation because Ms. Ventura begins this conversation by saying, I'm horny. So if you were to look at the government's exhibit, you would think that Mr. Combs started this conversation by saying, I just looked at my iPad. I had to stop out of nowhere. In reality, if you go to our proposed exhibit from just earlier that day, it starts with Miss Ventura saying to him, I'm horny. It's about masturbation, I suppose. But if that's what he then looks at the iPad, and so it provides context to the conversation. Given that we just heard this morning about iPads and videos on his devices, the jury should know that the given context of the conversation, she brought this up.
Okay. Before I read, I want to say thank you to those who are contributing to the transcripts. I see things coming in. I won't say your government name if it's not a screen name, but you know who you are. Thank you very much. Okay. As I understand, what you're saying is the issue is that the government's proposed excerpts here start out of midstream in the conversation, and so to understand the context of why is coming up in the first place, would you need to have some of the background? Is that right?
That's right, yes.
So, Ms. Slavic, the difficulty here is that I take the government doesn't really want to so much to and Riri, if you could read Ms. Garagos, please, and you can stick with Ms. Slavic, please, Princess. Doesn't
Wasn't Princess just reading Miss Garagos?
she was reading both of them because she was reading Garagos and Slavic.
Okay, you want me to read who? Garagos?
Garagos, please.
Okay.
Thank you. Doesn't really want to so much the first message. It's following messages that the government.
That's exactly right, Your Honor. The government's position is that the first message regarding the iPad, that is what provides the context to the subsequent messages. The government's position is that the additional 10 pages of this back and forth regarding masturbation is not required under Rule 106 because those additional statements don't correct the distorted meaning to the text messages that the government intends to admit.
I agree with you that the 10 pages need to not come in. However, there's probably a compromise that can be reached. I think what the defense is saying is that if you just started with that message, it might suggest that this came out of the blue and that the discussion of a sexual nature was one sided. And then there's this follow up discussion about deleting material. There is an easy workaround I can already see by looking at the messages. There is some excerpt that can be used to provide proper context so no one is misled into thinking that this was a one directional conversation from the com side.
Your Honor, that's reasonable. We'll confer with the defense and propose somewhere short of the 10 pages something to address that issue. Moving on to 511. Again, the defense proposes about 10 additional pages fighting about infidelity, including naming names of specific individuals. I think critically in this chain, the proposed additional pages has come 2 hours after the portion the government proposes to admit. So that's an important distinction here. Additionally, this fight that comes in the 10 additional pages is not necessary to understand the two messages that the government is seeking to admit.
Here there are two messages from Miss Ventura that there is a 2 hour gap, following by another message from Miss Ventura, and then the ensuing conversation. Now, I take it that the government is saying the ensuing conversation is related to the last communication from Miss Ventura and has nothing to do with what Miss Ventura said in the first two messages.
That's right, Your Honor.
So it's not a proper completed statement under Rule 106.
Correct.
Miss Garagos?
Your Honor, I think that when we read the full context of the conversation, you see the fight, even though it starts again 2 hours later. We are talking about the full context of the fight. This happens all the time with these two individuals. They will break for an hour, 2 hours, come back and resume the fight. And so the jury, to understand that these two messages, would have to understand that the full context of the fight, which is almost indefinitely.
Infidelity.
Oh, infidelity. I'm sorry.
That may be true, but the statements that the government is seeking to introduce are not about the fight in general. They're about a very specific thing that Miss Ventura had said. I'm looking through the entire communication and I don't see that coming up again after the break before Miss Ventura's text at 11 a.m. So, can you direct me to any message that picks up on that discussion? Meaning in the first two messages, because if there is one, then I'll take a look at it or look at that.
No, it doesn't pick up at a specific message. I think that we're just trying to contextualize it.
So the application to include those remaining materials under Rule 106 is denied as to B511.
Finally, Your Honor, B619 is kind of similar. The government seeks to admit one specific message that's in the middle of the chain that the defendant proposes. The message that the government seeks to admit is kind of isolated, both in substance and time, from the other understanding surrounding messages. So the government submits that the requirements for Rule 106 to apply are not applicable here.
Your Honor, I don't understand how it would be. It's fully part of the same fight. Their second message, first of all, going to page 706 of the document, it's not Bates stamped, but 706 of our proposed exhibit. She writes, or he writes, I'm sorry for real. I'm really sorry. I really didn't know that you felt that way about me. I feel you. Sorry. How could how could that how could that not come in in to understand the full context of the message? I love you forever. That's just 10 minutes after 9 minutes after her initial message. And when she responds to it and says that you have selective memory, this entire chat should come into to it, should come in because it's all related to the fight that they are in the middle of.
Your Honor, respectfully, the burden under Rule 106 is on the defendant to demonstrate that the portions of the statement that he wants to admit are necessary to clarify or explain the portion that the government wants to admit. It's not applicable here.
What's the basis for admissibility of the text that the government is putting in?
It's prior consistent statement, Your Honor.
Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yes, Your Honor. Very similar to the message that we spoke about yesterday relating to the two screenshots of an email which Ms. Ventura.
Specifically to the leading of materials?
Correct. That's right, Your Honor.
Ms. Garagos, I think what the government is saying is that the statement actually only relates to the leaking of material and the potential response. The follow up messages that say, I'm sorry, for instance, are part of the conversations. But in that way, do they go towards giving proper context to what Ms. Ventura said in that one text communication? That's the real question.
The government is making the argument repeatedly. They've done it today all morning that she's felt like he was going to leak the videos. And so then to not have the rest of the text communication come in, that is, he says that I'm really sorry. I really didn't know that you felt that way. How could we then not put this in the complete context of the message?
Well, he doesn't say, I didn't say that, or I, of course, am not going to do that. Things of that nature. That would be proper under Rule 106. But simply saying, I'm sorry for having said that, that's what I'm not understanding, how that provides proper context.
It relates to this is in 2015, and it relates to a 2011 text message. And so he's complaining that he's really sorry. For real.
Explaining?
So he's explaining that he's really sorry. For real. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for having said that. We would have to be able to put this into complete. We would have to be able to put this in to complete it. Otherwise, it leaves the jury with the misimpression that she is, again, 4 years later, still feels threats, and he's not addressing this point at all. I'm not sure if this could even be hearsay, his statement. He's saying that he's sorry. I think that is absolutely necessary. I guess that I'll withdraw from page 705 to prior, but I really think that it's necessary for the jury to understand, given the testimony that we've heard this morning, the rest of the conversation.
You're withdrawing?
I'll withdraw.
Which part?
705 before. I hear Your Honor. I'm trying to be responsible, but I'm trying to come up with a reasonable compromise.
Reasonable?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Is it responsible?
Reasonable.
Okay.
I hear you, Your Honor. I'm trying to come up with a reason to be reasonable, but I'm trying to come up with a reasonable compromise that doesn't leave the jury with a misimpression as to their conversation about the conversation 4 years earlier.
That's fair. I hear your point that it may not be directly related to the statement, but the rule says it's the remainder of or related statements. And it includes the introduction of any statement that, in fairness, ought to be considered at the same time. And so your point is, unlike the prior exhibit we just discussed, here there's a charge made by Ms. Ventura, and then there's a response to that charge that follows in the ensuing pages. There is no timing issue. None of the other issues that were presented as to the other documents. So even if the particular charge was not specifically addressed, to provide fair context to that one communication, there should at least be some of the follow-up. Is that fair?
That's right. And again, I'm trying to be reasonable so that we can then cut it at 7:08.
I think that's fair.
Your Honor, can I just note that the rule does not require admission of the self-serving exculpatory statements. What it requires is a correction of something that's misleading. You don't see here. He's saying, I'm sorry. He's not saying, I didn't say that in 2011. I didn't do that. These statements are not necessary to correct any sort of misimpression that's left by the text that the government seeks to admit.
What about I really didn't know y'all felt that way about me?
I believe that's in reference to my mom remembers that. I believe that it's in reference to Miss Ventura's reference to her family feeling upset that he would make those threats. Him knowing whether her family feels that way has nothing to do with whether he actually made the threat or not.
Uh, I'm going to think about this over the lunch break. But for now, Miss Garagos, just so I understand, really, it's just from 7:06 to, I take it, the first message on 7:08, or are you saying the message on?
It's on 7:06 to the first message on 7:08.
Okay, those are the only three.
That's it. But we are.
Your Honor, I'm sorry to interrupt. If Your Honor is inclined to grant that request to the first message in 7:08, the government would request that Your Honor continue through 7:08, the additional two messages on that page. The government's first request is to just the text message that the government identified. But if Your Honor is inclined to add additional context, the government would request at least through the end of 7:08.
And we're absolutely okay with that, Your Honor.
I'll take a look at that one. Now, as to the witness instruction, Ms. Shapiro may not have a chance to provide.
You want me to read that?
Sure.
We're concerned about it. We've gone back and forth once, and we're trying to reach resolution on it, but we're not there yet. We're not yet there. So if it's okay, we'll bring it back to you after lunch.
Perfect. Ms. Comey, can you read Ms. Comey, Princess?
Okay. Your Honor, may I note that counsel for the victim testifying under the pseudonym Mia came back today because he's in particular wants to be heard. I think he has concerns even about the limitations that Your Honor was considering. He's in the courtroom. If you wouldn't mind hearing from him.
Of course. Michael Ferreira, Hecker Finn, for the witnesses testifying under the pseudonym Mia. Your Honor, 2 points that I wanted to make. First, I think it's unfortunate to be excusing cases that talk about, in large part, cooperating witnesses or sort of the confidential sources in the same. Now, when we're applying it to the victim witnesses, Your Honor knows that there's a jury instruction that Your Honor, I don't know if Your Honor will, give it in this case, but certainly others where the jury is told to scrutinize. Hey, y'all, somebody got an echo. Well, the jury is told to scrutinize a cooperator's testimony carefully. Now, that's in sharp contrast to the way that we're supposed to treat victims. It is, in fact, re-victimizing at least my client. And I suspect that others as well, to not allow them to talk about what's happening while they're going through it. Now, Mia would have taken these things to her grave. And I suspect that she'll testify to that. Now, there are worse things that could have ever happened to her. Now, this is my second point. The idea, which I heard Your Honor saying earlier, of, well, what if they can give emotional support, but not talk about the testimony? And I just wanted Your Honor to understand that as you rule on this, how intertwined those things are. Now, she will want emotional support about the very things. And I don't know how to support her if we can't discuss the pain that she's going through to experience from having to tell the world her worst secrets, the worst things that ever happened to her. So I just wanted to impress that upon the court. We are not willing to put words in her mouth. We will not tell her other things that happened in this. We will not tell her other things that happened in this courtroom. Of course not. But I do not know how to respond if she wants to say something like it was gut-wrenching to say this, that, and the other thing, or am I doing okay? Like, is this even coming out? Because, Your Honor, candidly, her nerves are through the roof. And I don't want to run afoul, of Your Honor's orders. So I just wanted, as Your Honor thinks about these issues, I just wanted to make sure that you're sort of understanding how complicated it is to, tie these ideas. That's helpful. And I was just looking on the live feed of the transcript to get the quote of what you said, because I think that the instruction perhaps saying substance of the testimony is too vague, because you maybe have questions as to, what you're permitting or not permitting to do. But what you said, I think, is consistent with what we're trying to prevent, which is the witness being counseled as to how to testify or what to say or not to say. And it might really be just two things. And that otherwise the witness would be permitted to speak to counsel. And at least when we're talking about victim witnesses. Now, would that be sufficient guidance? So everything you said about the things that you would want to talk to your client about during cross-examination, I don't think anyone here would have an issue with that. I trust any officer of the court and any counsel who comes here to follow the rules that are in place, just like we always have done. And so does that provide some further guidance? Because I hear everyone you're saying, and nothing that you're saying seems unreasonable. I think it does. I think it's more the concern that we don't want to run afoul of the letter of the instruction. And I'm sure Mia is going to want to say things like, how am I doing? Are you understanding this? Is it clear? Am I being clear? Things along those lines. I want to be able to answer her honestly and counsel her honestly. Again, this is helpful. If she were to say, candidly, I worry that she might have a sort of almost like a moment up here, when she gets on the stand, like almost losing completely everything, and if she has, for example, if she has completely like left something out and she says to me, was that okay? Did it come through clearly? I would like to be able to candidly say, you're doing great. I'll mention you didn't. I think you might have forgotten, or maybe that's running afoul, but that's too far. But maybe that's too far. But that would be candid counsel. I can't even myself, Your Honor. I've spent countless hours with her now, and I worry about her emotional state up there and how that's going to work. So again, it would not be a situation where saying make sure to, or make sure to say it this way, or make sure to, but if she says, how am I doing? And I know that she's had a moment where she's completely didn't hear a question or something along those lines. It might be something where my candid counsel, I think you misheard what the prosecutor asked you, or, etc., or something like that. Anything further?
Your Honor, I think we'll consider that. But I just do want to point out that the last example strikes me, with all due respect, understand the sensitivities here, as going too far in the direction of coaching to tell the witness that she, quote unquote, left something out. I think that's exactly the purpose of this type of instruction is designed to prevent. So we'll just say that, but we'll consider what counsel has said in the instruction proposed.
Thank you for that, coming forward. I appreciate what you said, and I'll definitely take it into account. Let's see.
Sorry, I buffered for a second. I'm Miss Comey too, right?
Yes, please.
Your Honor, I've just been informed counsel for the victim testifying under the pseudonym Jane would also like to be heard and is here today, if that's all right with you, Your Honor.
Of course. Um, Caleb, can you read Miss Lewis, please?
Good morning. I'm counsel for Jane Doe.
Could you please identify yourself?
Lindsay Lewis of Dreidel and Lewis, counsel for Jane Doe. So I reviewed the proposed instruction and I think it covers everything. So I think it is critical.
Sorry, Your Honor. One moment. I don't believe an instruction has been provided to Your Honor. I wanted to clarify that for the record. The parties are conferring about the proposed instruction, which has been shared with counsel, and
Well, that's not a secret. If I asked you for it, you would give it to me now?
yes, Your Honor. I wanted to clarify for counsel.
Okay.
I'll reframe, Your Honor. I understand there are discussions between the parties as to what a resolution might look like, all of which are issues that have already been addressed this morning in the courtroom, including critical issues as to discussions of privilege, discussions of witness emotional state. Particularly, I'm concerned about my own client's emotional state during her testimony. She has had very serious emotional breakdown moments in preparation for this trial, and so it is critical to me that I be able to have candid, honest, and open communications with her throughout that process. So in
Conversation.
that regard, while I am hopeful that based on what I heard today, the nature of things that we will be able to discuss will not encompass anything that I'm concerned about, not just logistics and not just the emotional, but other issues such as privilege issues that might arise. What I'm concerned about is anything that would prevent her or chill her from talking to me out of a fear that she might say something to me that would violate an understanding between the parties. And what I mean by that is if she is instructed, hey, you're allowed to talk to your counsel if you think that this something you might say or that you might come up might relate to a privilege issue. If she goes further than that and it runs afoul and she's afraid of it, I think it's important that her counsel, as an officer of the court, be entrusted to tell her that it's not something that you can address with me. Here's the scope of what we can talk about. And I think it has to be very clear and again, not chill a victim from feeling fully open to speaking with their counsel, which they have a right to do. And which again, this idea that there's not a right to this kind of this kind of consultation is really, there's no judicial rule or rule of, it's an ad hoc thing. And there's only a handful of cases, even in this context, that have been presented that's been granted. So I think it's very important that the right of counsel be preserved.
So what I hear you saying is this is consistent with what Mr. Ferreira said, and that it needs to be clarified. It can be. But the instruction to counsel not to engage in, for instance, witness coaching or telling a witness what to say or not to say or how to say, it should be sufficient because we can trust officers of the court. And as we do always do, to follow the rules, and if there is a violation or perceived violation, then you would not have an issue with the witness being subject to inquiry about discussions, non-privileged discussions that they may have had during the break in cross-examination, right? That happens all the time. Is that fair?
I think that it is fair. I think counsel is fully competent in this case to be able to discern the difference between content and implications and be able to parse out what's appropriate and not, and to advise a client where the line may be. You know, we may be coming up to a line where we should stop and reframe our conversation.
Because what I hear you saying is that the chill comes from the court's instruction to the witness that they are to have discussions with their attorneys in ways that they may not fully understand and which may, from their point of view, inhibit them and cause them to dim some of the harms that we've been talking about. But the same instruction can be made to attorneys who will understand all of those things. And I'm not hearing from you, just like I didn't hear from Mr. Ferreira, any attempt to engage in any kind of witness coaching, passing of messages from the government to your client, or any kind of thing, right?
That's all completely correct. Again, in particular with my client, and though I know with many people here, they never had a significant interactions with the court, and to make sure that they are comfortable and to access their counsel, which is their right, is critical.
Miss Gomez, do you have Mr. Wigdor here as well?
I believe we do, Your Honor.
Mr. Wigdor, I'll hear you out, but it's going to be simple. I have something to add, Your Honor. I have no intention of speaking to my client about anything other than logistics, healthcare, or potentially attorney client privilege inquiries that may be on cross examination. Ms. Gomez, are there any other individuals who fall into this category?
Not that I'm aware of, Your Honor.
Ms. Shapiro, my suggestion would be uh, we've now spoken to each of the attorneys who have indicated that they understand the instruction not to engage in any witness coaching, not to tell any witness what to say or not to say, and not to talk to them about how they should or should not testify, which I think covers the category where we're talking about. And I expect those three attorneys to follow that instruction. We'll add to that, and that should not convey messages from the government bearing the substance of their testimony.
That was the last. I was just going to say, Your Honor, I would ask you to direct them not to confer with the government about the substance of the testimony and only, if necessary, as to logistics. Your Honor, can I represent as an officer of the court that I have never done something like that, and our team would never do anything like that? You can be assured of that.
Now, we have four attorneys who have made the appropriate representation. And I think we've now covered the waterfront. If there's a violation, we will address it. Similar to what happened in the Abernathy case. If there is a perception that there have been discussions or may have been discussions, the classic example is when someone comes back from a break and says that they want to clarify something, and it seems a little peculiar. There, of course, can be an inquiry into those subjects with the witness, subject to any privilege issues, of course, but we've all taken dispositions. We all know how to deal with this. This happens from time to time that we can do things to make that inquiry and handle it that way. So that's how we will handle it. So that takes care of the issue. Now, as the defense discovery, I had some. Miss Garrigos.
Shay.
She dropped off.
She dropped off.
We're putting together our
Oh,
response, Your
I
Honor.
got to put it back on. Okay, hold on. She's back. Okay. Shay, you're up.
Okay. I was like, let me in. We're putting together our response, Your Honor.
Here's the issue. There are certainly cases going in both directions. I'd say the vast majority of cases have adopted that I take to be the government's view that case in chief is not just a timing issue, it's the purpose for which you're conducting discovery. And so, to the extent that you are introducing affirmative evidence during a cross examination, that is not to refresh a witness's recollection and not for impeachment purposes. And that counts as being within the case in chief. However, uh, the way the rule is structured is that the defendant's obligations only are triggered if they have requested discovery from the government, meaning that there's a trade that's made, and then the defendant has to be eyes wide open as to what the trade is. No discussion, as I take it, has in this case as to what that meant in terms of the defendant's discovery. Is that fair?
That's fair.
So that discussion wasn't had in context of Rule 16.
I'm not
Also,
I'm
I'm sorry.
not sure I understand what discussion Your Honor is talking about.
I'm saying that the government has already turned over its Rule 16 discovery.
100% and mark our exhibits.
So some of the cases that have taken what is the minority position have dictated, even if the majority position is correct, the issue is timing of a different kind. If in advance of the Rule 16 exchange of discovery, there was an acknowledgement or an understanding that the defense discovery that would be triggered would include affirmative evidence that is put in cross examination. When I think I would agree with the government that that would be fairly encompassed because that's part of the deal. That's what was discussed and that's what's understood. But there's no bidding authority as to this issue because it's all district court cases. And I'll grant you that, as far as I can tell, it is in the Southern District, in the Eastern District, and around the nation. It is the majority position, but it's still not the confirmed rule, and it some tension with the language rule. So, given that none of these discussions happened, why is it? It seems to me, in fairness, to not really be a Rule 16 issue, meaning none of the issues where my operation of rule, the defendant is in violation and has to immediately turn over the document or is subject to preclusion or any of the other remedies, right?
Your Honor, every single discovery letter we have sent to the defense counsel in this case has started with in light of your request for discovery and has ended with in light of your request for discovery. We request reciprocal discovery and that is a long string site. So I think this has been.
Do those letters make clear that would include any evidence that would be in during cross-examination as opposed to just a general reference to the defendant's case in chief?
I would need to check those letters, Your Honor, but I believe the clear intention of those letters, which are standard for our office in every case, is to trigger precisely this reciprocal obligation. And I think that the spirit of that is also carried through the parties' negotiation of a period to turn over exhibits in advance of trial. It's meaningless to receive 4 exhibits in advance of trial. It's only meaningful that the deadline that the parties agreed on is only meaningful if it includes all of the exhibits that would be used affirmatively to prove a defense, including cross examination.
I agree with that. That's why I would have hoped this was raised in advance of trial. Miss Garagos, you are standing.
I have to respond to this point because they've been using terms. They asked for reciprocal Rule 16 discovery, and we provided that the government on the date that it was ordered, things that they did not have, that they did not provide to us, that they theoretically could have gotten, but they didn't. We provided that on the date that the order, I'm sorry, we provided that on the date that we're ordered to do so. Everything that we have marked otherwise has been stuff that the government gave us in discovery productions in November and December of this year to now have to be ordered to give those over prior to our cross-examination. It shows our strategy. It's nothing that they haven't seen before because they have it, but for us to have to,
This is not a Rule 16 issue.
it's a strategy issue.
You would agree that, as a matter of normal case management, any judges, not even talking about Rule 16, have requirements on turning over documents that are going to be used, like exhibits that are going to be used of some nature, right?
We have been ordered in every trial, in every federal trial where that we've ever done. We have an exhibit deadline, of course, yes. When it comes to cross examination, to have to give those over prior to the direct finishing, that's something we have fought consistently in every case since I've been admitted to this district and Eastern District. Because it's also just not practical because we just don't know we don't know what we're going to use affirmatively because we don't know how the direct is going to go. This direct in particular has gone much differently than I expected. So we're kind of changing our strategy. So to now give over things before it's complete, before lunch hours and times when they can go over this with the witness, it defeats the purpose of cross-examination. But yes, I understand as a matter of judicial economy, the court would like to have these.
It's not alike. You acknowledge that it is done like it is.
We've completed, we've complied with that. What we knew we would use. We just don't know what we're using in every cross.
No, I understand that. We may be arguing about a very small category of documents, is my suspicion. But regardless of that, if there's some issue, are you, as you're getting into cross examination with the witness, let's say that you had evidence that you may use the following day, uh, would there be any issue in turning over to the government by 6 p.m. the day before so they can see what you're planning to use?
Of course, we will do that.
That's the practical matter.
If we have it marked and know we're going to use it by 6 p.m., I mean, we get things late.
Okay, y'all, we're gonna pause right there at the top of 7:38. And let's go ahead and discuss. I know it's Sunday night, but great job reading tonight, y'all. Great job reading tonight. Let me bring this over here and let's chit chat for a little bit, man. So, was there anything that y'all picked up on here today that y'all wanted to discuss?
Stockholm syndrome was very strong with that Father's Day message.
Yes.
Mm. As she wrote that all I read was clueless. Definitely Stockholm syndrome to the max. I mean, for those of y'all that don't know what Stockholm syndrome is, when you actually fall in love with your abuser,
Mm-hmm.
and you start to actually feel sorry for them.
Yeah, you sympathize with them.
Abusing you, and that's crazy.
You think that you could change them or whatever if you love them enough.
Yeah, want to please them.
Yeah, it's really y'all. I'm not gonna lie. The more we read with Cassie, I feel like these people out here saying, "Oh, she wanted it. She doing this." Listen, that girl was always drugged up. She was not really in her right freaking mind. And the more I read and we read her, I feel so sorry for the girl. I mean, this girl did not. I don't think this girl ever intended on getting addicted to all these opioids and drugs and wanting to be the girl that she turned out to be. I don't think what she came into the music industry for.
Right.
So either.
I don't think this girl knew anything about a freaking freak off before Puff Daddy showed her what it was.
No, you was right. That shit. You was right.
If she knew what she knows today, she would have never got involved with him.
No.
Yep. And the craziest thing, I don't know if y'all I can't remember if we talked about it here or not, but I know I talked about it on my last production of the live stream, that I found out that her daughter's nickname is Frankie, or her name is Frankie. Did y'all know that?
Yep, Frankie Fine.
That is really throwing me. Like, why would you still want to call this child Frankie, knowing that his alias is Frank?
I looked into it. It's a family name. I think her husband's grandfather or grandmother, but still, I wouldn't have been able to use that name.
Yeah,
oh
I wouldn't
God.
been able.
So it's still gonna haunt you for the rest of your life, Frankie.
Yeah, for real. Like, I couldn't even call my child no Frankie. She was definitely. I feel that Cassie definitely was. She was really trying to keep him happy, and just, I've been in a relationship where it was a little abusive, but not like that. You know what I'm saying? But you always want to try to keep the peace because you're tired of, like, you going somewhere and then he getting mad and blowing up and not having a good time.
All of us at some point maybe been in a relationship like you just shut the fuck up here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like, okay, here he go. I don't want him to embarrass me. I don't want it to be a problem. I don't want to deal with this mess when we get home. So I'm just gonna try to keep his ass happy. But honey,
And then the part about her eyebrow situation, and then when she sent him the picture so he could remember, then he's like, you just don't know when to stop. Like, he was getting ready to do it all over again.
No, you don't know when to stop, sir.
Okay, it's crazy.
And I think so with her daughter Frankie, I believe that's the oldest one, if I'm not mistaken.
It is.
I think
she was recently out of the relationship with Puff, and she was married when she got married to Alex. She was already pregnant, so I don't think she really had a chance to completely heal to the fact to know that, oh my gosh, we about to call my daughter Frankie. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that she really realized at that particular time that was going to be a trigger, because she was still very much still trying to get out of her addiction, still trying to get out of the trauma that she had gone through. So I don't think she really quite understood it at that point in time.
Right.
Yeah, but it just was weird.
He definitely groomed the hell out this girl. He got her young. What, 19 was when he first got her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? And he groomed her all the way up. Now, I want to show y'all something that I was riding in the car this morning, and I was thinking about the beef that Mace had with P. Diddy. And I said, you know what? Let me go back and listen to some of the songs that him and Diddy had to see if there's any clues. I'm about to play something for y'all that is going to blow y'all's minds. Now, this song I used to love. Oh my God, it was one of my favorite songs. And I used to sing this part because I didn't know what the hell I was singing. I didn't know until now.
Person don't know what we're singing until later on.
We don't. Look at all the R. Kelly songs. We were just singing along. Didn't even know.
Right.
Girls, right? All right. So I want y'all to listen to this and look at the words on the screen. Here we go. Can y'all hear? Can y'all see this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Look at this.
Flex with about 10 doors. I was murdered. P. Diddy named me pretty. Did it for the money. Now can you get with me?
Look at these words. How was murder? P. Diddy named me pretty. Did it for the money. Now can you get with me?
What that mean?
What man gonna let another man name them pretty?
Right.
And then he said, I did it for the money. Now can you get with me?
Yeah, he sold his soul.
He sold his soul.
Pretty Ricky, what they call him.
This is, let me play it again.
No.
Hold on.
Better than yours. Can I have a bad bitch without no flaws? Come to see me without no drawers. In a stretch Lex with about 10 doors. I was murdered. P. Diddy named me pretty. Did it for the money. Now can you get with me?
How else can you explain that?
Right.
But what does it mean? How is murder? Like you killing people? What does that mean?
So how is murder like because there's so many rumors about Diddy killing people, but how is murder? Is he talking about his soul? That's what I'm taking it as. Like
it's a subliminal list, y'all.
Yeah, I think it's how is murder like his soul has been murdered because he done sold his soul out.
But let me ask y'all a question, and this is a logical question. How many heterosexual males? I want y'all ladies on this thing to you tell me which man or man that you know in your life that has ever named another nigga pretty.
Name the Negro, period. You know what I'm saying?
Period. None.
I be with a little bit, I be with I made a whole video with the Save Thugs, so with the they don't play these things,
Not any straight man is gonna play that. They're not gonna let any man name them. They're not even trying to wear another man's face on their clothes. So,
Atmos, look at the chat.
Look at the chat. Okay.
Look what Andrew Staples said.
Last line says
he was known as
the last line says spray so much Izzy, girls get dizzy. So they over here drugging girls.
It was known as Murder Mace.
Is it Izzy Miyake though?
I was murder. P. Diddy named me pretty. Did it for the money. Now can you get with me? So you trying to say that he murdered people for money? And you say he did it for the money. Now can you get with me? People know who Izzy. He get busy. Spray so much Izzy. Girls get dizzy. Izzy meaning he get busy. Spray so much Izzy. Uzi. Girls get dizzy. It's so many.
But is he spray so much Izzy? Girls get dizzy? Are they already using drugs on girls?
Either that or Izzy Miyake is the only thing I could think about. You spray so much girls get dizzy. Or something else.
This was called Murder Mace. How was murder with a question mark? How was murder? P. Diddy named me pretty. I don't even
it has to be on YouTube. There has to be somebody that on that song that you're playing right now.
It is. So somebody did do it. Let me see. I can tell y'all. Hold on.
Maybe he wanted to name him something that was a little bit more pretty for the ladies. I mean, if his name was Murder Mace, he had to soften him up to be palatable for the television or for the industry. So he named him something pretty, I guess.
Did it for the money. Now can you get with me?
Okay, look at this. Here we go. Look at this.
You looking for? Can a young man get money anymore? Let my pants sag down to the floor. Really, do it matter as long as I score? Can't my car look better than yours? Can I have a bad bitch without no flaws? Come to see me without no drawers. In a stretch Lex with about 10 doors. I was murdered. P. Diddy named me pretty. Did it for the money. Now can you get with me? People wanna know who is he? You looking for?
So other people pointing this out too.
What did Puff do to piss you the off? How did he do you dirty if he did you dirty?
Me and Puff was like, I felt like I did more than I got credit for, more than I got paid for.
You felt or did you do that? Because you said felt like
okay,
feeling.
let's clear that up then.
You saying you feeling that?
No, we're gonna keep it with because I'm trying to be nice. I never got paid what I was worth. And I never got the respect I was worth. So the disdain that I got for Puff is more like, you trying to keep me here. I'm not here. All my peers is up here. All my peers are bosses. When it's time, just like somebody raised somebody up, you know they did work with you. They go from your little man to maybe A&R to something.
So I just don't see how Mace wasn't involved in none of that stuff that P. Diddy was doing.
Yeah, you gotta find. There's somebody. You know how they have those YouTube videos where people are breaking down the words and the subliminals and the meaning of the songs. We gotta find one of those. What's the name of the song? I'll look for it. You know, I like looking for stuff, researching stuff.
It's called "Looking at Me."
Looking at Me by Mace. Okay.
I don't think there's no way to. There's no way to clarify another man calling you pretty.
No.
I don't know how you can break that down into the rational way of thinking. I mean, maybe it's some other men out there that maybe have been called pretty. Okay. The Beat Junkie said his name was Murder Mace. He's saying P. Diddy A&R'd him to be commercial. Mace separated himself from all that mess.
That's what I thought it was saying when y'all said that. He named him, he prettied him up for commercial success.
And what did you say the name of the oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that makes sense to me.
Yeah. What'd you say the name of the song was again, Amos? I'm sorry.
Looking at Me.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Okay, so hold on. His name was Murder Mace. He's saying P. Diddy A&R'd him to be commercial. Mace separated himself from all that mess. What does that got to do with P. Diddy naming him pretty?
Because Murder is ugly. Murder Mace is ugly, but just Mace is pretty.
Okay. And you got to think about it. That was like when Murder Inc. was out and they was getting indicted by the feds when
they weren't indicted at that time.
Master P's brother was going to jail after the name Murder.
Okay. Andrew Staples said also Cutter. I guess he's trying to say Cuddy. Cuda Love taught him how to rap pretty for the ladies. Okay. All right.
All this discussion about like
at that time. They were just on the rise at that time. So that didn't have anything to do with that.
All this discussion about this stuff that occurred like in the 90s kind of makes me wish that I was a little older because I'm not really familiar with like Mace's catalog and stuff like that because I was a kid.
Yeah. I don't know. Now, anything you listen to that sounds crazy, it's gonna make you question it, but just because of the plethora of issues that P. Diddy got with everybody.
Right.
Now is that song about what's the young little white boy having a song called
Justin
Party?
Bieber?
Did he really write a song called "Party at Diddy's"? Or is that some AI? Y'all ever heard of that?
I haven't.
Hold on.
You're gonna have to look that up, sir.
That's just like way behind my time.
Yeah, hold on. So Justin
Steady messing this up.
Bieber, "Party at Diddy's" song. Okay, hold on.
That's what I'm looking up too.
Here it is. Here it is.
Why does it feel a little bit later than what it is?
Because it's Sunday.
Yeah.
He said, "I lost myself at a Diddy party."
Okay, this is an AI song. I think this is fake. It's an AI song. I'm gonna let y'all hear it. I got it right here. Hold on.
I gotta go see those wretched children of mine.
Here we go. Here we go. Y'all listen to this. Here we go.
Showed up looking for a dream, light so bright, couldn't see the scheme. He had the stars, the cash, the glow. I wanted it. They handed drinks, told me to play, but I gave too much of me away. Fell into the madness of the scene, chasing all that glitter, living a scene. Now I see the devil in the deal. What I thought was freedom.
You can tell it's an AI video.
It's very weird.
You could keep that.
Yeah. Y'all know House of the Princess got it in her playlist, so that's how she knew it.
Yeah. Work every day.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
One of the things that I wanted to say too was, did you notice about the attorneys arguing for the right to speak for to the witnesses and their clients, because their witnesses, the Mia and Jane Doe, are so afraid and so emotionally messed up behind all this mess that Diddy has done that they're afraid. The attorneys are afraid of like their state of mind and their health mentally. That's crazy. And it like corroborates all the stuff that Cassie was going through and feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question, like, because I was thinking about this as I was cleaning this morning. And I'm like, at what point, and it's a 60 minutes thing on YouTube with that other assistant, and he was saying like immediately almost he had to clean up and set up for a freak off, and I'm thinking like, say that again.
The white guy?
No, he's kind of Arabic or whatever the hell he was. I forgot his name. Okay. I can put the link in the back chat. And he was saying he already was on the stand, I think. And he was talking about doing the freak offs and what have you. And at what point as an employee, because I tell you, when I was a Puffy fan, I am a Puffy fan. I wanted to be on Make Another Band, or I wanted to be on, I want to work for Diddy.
I think anybody who's in music wanted to work with Puff Daddy. Like,
not knowing that he was doing all that work on crack. That's how he was staying up.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all
when
the
you
video.
get to work. At what point, when he starts saying, could he have done everybody like this? I don't think he could. Like, I don't know how I would react. I might be a little scared, but I probably would get that vibe from him, that, it's something sinister. But if you tell me, dude, I'm just like, nah, fam, get the fuck on. You can't threaten everybody that you're going to kill.
You got the
because somebody cares about me. You know what I'm saying?
But it's like R. Kelly. It's kind of like R. Kelly. A predator knows the people that they could prey against, and they know the strong ones that they can't. For instance, ain't nobody ever came at me sideways like the mess that these men be doing. You know what I'm saying? And that they did, like R. Kelly and Diddy and all those other people that nobody's ever came at me like that. But I think it's because they know and they can pick up on when somebody has some trauma. They start those conversations. When you go back to the transcripts for R. Kelly, what was R. Kelly doing with every single one of those girls? He was
Trauma
confessing,
bonding.
right? And he was confessing from the very beginning about his trauma so that he could see
Trauma
if
like
they had trauma
I gotta
and
be
so that
loose.
they could connect on that, you know?
And make them feel sorry. That's the beginning of the Stockholm syndrome, is to
And
relate
start
to him.
seeing what type of abuse that they've been through. And what type of abuse they've been through, what type of parents they have, if their parents are in their life or they're not paying attention to their life, if you know they've been sexually abused. The majority of those women, well, women now, but young girls then have been sexually molested and things like that. Those are the things that they're looking at. So Diddy was doing the same thing when he was dealing with all these other women and all these other, some of these assistants and stuff like that. He was slapping them around and doing things like that to them.
Well, that's what I'm talking about from a professional point of view. As an employee, if you ask me to sit up there and clean up your cum, I'm gonna look at you like,
right,
that's not a part of my job description. Now you might try it, but you know I'm getting up out that jam one way or the other.
I
And
be done left. I
Right.
go to the hotel room and see what it's about, and I'm gone.
Okay, and I see this all
I lose
everywhere.
my number. Don't ever call me again. I quit.
And I'm trying to figure out what is the significance of the lotion with Kim, but baby oil with everybody else. That was weird to me too. It's just like small stuff like that that's like really sticks out. And then I wonder what J-Lo's experience with him was. I really
But you have
want
to
to
look
know.
at Kim's experience was earlier on, so you know things
But they
like
said
this
she was still
probably
messing with him
grew.
up until the day she passed.
Yeah. Oh, so you saying that they only had lotion still at that time that she passed?
Yeah, that's what that one guy said. Whenever he was setting up the rooms for him and Kim, he would just have lotion. It wouldn't be the
baby oil.
Baby oil. That was weird to me.
Right.
So you know he taking them forever pills and them Viagra's or whatever. You know he probably done messed up his penis forever. You know.
You mean his Tootsie Roll?
Yeah. He got ED, you know, the fact, you know, now, okay, we from the hood, and you Shay, you know, you have these conversations, and you go to the gas station, you know, they got that stuff at the gas station, you know, I be
honey packs.
Yeah, the honey pack, they be like, I'm gonna take a honey pack, and I'm gonna blow your back out all night long. Like, I don't want no niggas do none of that. If you gotta take a honey pack like Kanye, gotta take honey packs all the time. Like it's not. I'm not trying to do all that with you. Calm your nerve. You done messed up your insides if you gotta do that all the time, and you trying to do it every day.
And then he had Cassie taking Viagra.
That's sick.
Which is crazy.
Weird.
And Cassie, she was on so many, poor baby, she was on so many drugs just trying to dissociate herself from it all, you know? Just completely trying to dissociate and not be in the moment.
So I feel for Mr. Fine. I do, and you know, I don't know what their level of their relationship is, but you got to think about how much it is, and being a family member of an addict. I have never been just in the thick of things, but to think about when you got to be in the house with an addict, women have mood swings when they get their periods and all that kind of stuff. Dealing with an addict and their ways and their motives, that can be a lot. And to think that he's got to go through that with her and them kids, he's got to have some type of strength with him as well to deal with that.
Yeah, definitely.
Do y'all think that he feels any remorse for creating what he did with Cassie? Like he's responsible?
Did he?
Yeah.
No.
The
fact he still had freak off supplies when he got put in jail when he was getting locked up, that means he still
up.
I mean, can,
He was
he has
about to
no
have a freak
conscience at
off.
He
all.
mad that ain't his bitch no more. That's what he's mad
and
about.
I really think that he probably actually is gloating in his mind. That people are saying, like I watched somebody was saying the psyche of him that he's low key excited and happy and feeling like good that everybody's talking about him, even though it's in a negative way. And then also
They
I was
say
thinking about this
bad
man
press
have
is good
literally
press.
he happy that the whole world now is using his word. He got a definition that's being used now. You know, nobody ever knew nothing and never called no kind of sessions, no freak offs. So now he done made up this, and now everybody knows if you say freak off, you know it's him. You know what I'm saying? So he is like taking credit for this stuff. I bet they, you know, and these Negroes
Somebody
in
need to see if
prison.
he got it copywritten.
He
Who
probably
said that?
did.
I said somebody need to see if he got it copywritten.
Oh,
I'll
let me
look it
see.
up. And you
Okay,
know
then.
what?
You
They also said that Diddy was thinking that there was going to be so many of his supporters was going to be
Yeah, they thought it was gonna
outside
be
the
thousands.
courthouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, he thought it was
he's
gonna be like the R.
not an
Kelly supporters.
Right.
he's not an R. Kelly. He doesn't have that much talent. Okay. I
Okay.
do know
His talent was taking
works for
advantage
him.
of other people.
I know people that have worked for him. Now let me say this. You have not ever really heard that R. Kelly don't pay his people. Okay.
Right.
But so
He
Right.
didn't even
They
know what was going in and out of his account.
R. Kelly wasn't getting paid himself.
but he would pay for his pussy, okay? Yeah. He might captive you or something like that. But at least he was paying the people. And Diddy has made a name for himself as he's low down because he don't even want to pay none of his artists. He don't want to pay the employees. He want to do you minimal. I can even tell you a story, and I'm going to repeat it only because she said it in public and said it in the Rolling Stone interview. Roxanne has said that she needed money for her children, and her and Craig Mack, I don't know, Diddy wasn't paying them, and so she needed money, and they were out of town, and Diddy just came out of his pocket with a wad of money and handed them $100.
My Lord.
$100. He got
Yeah,
all
Wow.
that money.
Nasty and
like
cheap.
you bitch you.
Oh,
Just
he
Wow.
is.
nasty and cheap.
See, I would have knocked him in his head and take all that money.
Wow.
You bitch you. They got a need. And
Baby,
they
he
only
was
have a need because you created the need. That's how
right.
dirt does everyone.
Yeah, and he, you know, his sick, twisted mind is really crazy because if you think about it, like, okay, I used to work at the prison, so I done heard inmates talking and stuff, and I could only imagine how he's sitting up there getting all this recognition from all the inmates. They bound down to him and like,
I thought
yeah,
they had
man,
him separated.
he,
He's in
he in jail
isolation.
pop.
Now somebody would fuck him.
I know I don't think he's in solitary confinement. I heard he was in Jim Pop
I
You
in
don't
know
know.
general
what?
If he in
population.
there, he probably in heaven getting all the semen he wants.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, let me see. I'm gonna look it up because I don't think
He's in
he is
people's.
in.
Wouldn't it be crazy if he was having
He
freak offs
has to
in jail?
be,
He
Right,
needs
but he
I want
has
him
to
to
be in
bust his
general
ass
pop
wide open.
because he was using people's inmate
right. Yeah,
numbers to make phone calls.
yeah, in solitary confinement. No, he's not. Okay, it says no. Sean Diddy Combs is not in solitary confinement. He is being held in a dormitory style unit at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, known as Four North, which is separate from the general population. This unit typically holds high profile inmates and government informants. Oh wow.
See,
Right.
While the
I knew
yeah,
it
conditions
he's in some type of
separated.
isolation or
It's not,
limited
no, it's just a
contact.
special place where they put like they
He's
said
in a
high
pod.
profile cases and government
Yeah,
informants.
he's not.
It says
He's in the. Yeah, he's not
while
as
the
from
conditions are
prison.
more lenient than the special housing unit, which involves spending 23 hours in a day in a cell, the New York Times described the unit as more of a dormitory style than a traditional prison cell. So what when they say dormitory style is, like I said, I used to work at a prison. When you go in, they have just their beds like are all in the room. Like picture a big like like okay, picture a high school cafeteria. You know how they have the tables lined up in the high school cafeteria?
Hmm.
They have the beds like that and sections like that. Like it's just a big room. It's gonna be like the size of a high school cafeteria, and it has
It's like their day room or
50 to
rec room or
100 type of
something.
inmates in there, all in one big room. And then like this bathrooms and showers is like a little section over to the side of the room, or in a little area. And then they usually have like an area like to the side where there's some benches and a TV and tables if they want to play dominoes or watch TV and stuff like that. But there's like separate, it's like a one big room, like it's not closed off like a cell, like with bars, nothing like that. Like the
Right.
officers are locked in there with them. Like whenever we would have to do count, like there would be an officer that would have the key, would work the door and would let me in and out. Like going, like I would have like 3 dorms of inmates, so there may be like 100 inmates in this dorm, 100 in that one, or 100 in that one. So I'm over 300 inmates, and I was only 19, which was really crazy when I look at that and think about that. What the hell was I thinking? And
Hey.
and you would go in, they would let you in and out there to do whatever. But it's just a big it's just a big, like I don't think I can think of to correlate with it be like a large cafeteria and the tables, or how the beds are like back to back to each other and stuff. And it's really a weird type situation to be in when you really think about it, because you're in there with murderers and everything, and it's 100 of them and just one of you.
Right.
Or even more sometimes, it's more than just 100, and it's just crazy like that. But yeah, it's a crazy situation. But and he would like in the special housing, all it is just uh it just means that it's going to be people that have like similar, like they said, high profile or government informants that have like quote unquote needs to not be in with like all of the regular gang members and everybody else. They just have them to themselves, but it's still not it's not like being like in a cell where they only get like some people, like solitary confinement is where you in a one man cell by yourself, and you don't actually come in contact with other inmates. The only way you do is you talk through the cells, and like you come out to take a shower, you come out for 1 hour for rec a day, and you go back in that cell and you sit in there by that in that 8 by 10 cell by yourself.
And
It's
you're in
totally
rec by
different.
yourself.
Yeah, and they just in rows, like the cell doors. There's like a big hall that you walk down. It's called the run, and they're on the run. They'll have cells on each side of the run. So you walk all the way down through. It's like a big hallway, and on each side it's got the cells for the solitary confinement inmates. That's like the gang members that are like really like really are in like if they done been in major trouble, or if
Like
they
Larry
are in
Hoover.
have death threats, huh?
Larry Hoover.
Yeah, like Larry Hoover, he probably in solitary confinement, but he been in there 50 years, so he might be done got his classification changed to where he's not considered, dangerous or nothing. But like the gang members that have but we had the Texas Syndicate and MS-13 where they was real dangerous gang members, and like they may have hits out on their life, they'll put them down there in solitary confinement where nobody can get to them, and they just that one cell thing by themselves, and they can yell across the way to other inmates. But that's all their interaction is just yelling to the man over there, hey, I'm in the cell, what you doing? But I do know somebody who's currently incarcerated, and they have changed the stuff here in Texas to that this one prison unit that he just told me that they got a small TV in his 2-man cell, and they got cable. I said, what?
Damn.
Well, I don't even
Oh
have
yeah, they
basic
be
cable
having
because I don't want
iPads
to
and
pay for it.
everything.
Yeah, but
I have a friend, and she was talking, she had a boo thing in jail, and I found this more than one. And he was sneaking phones or whatever, and it'll be all times of day and night. And he would just sit on the phone with her, and he would call her on the Facebook Messenger. Okay, and she was running business for him, and
That's true.
he's out now.
That's
And
true.
I was like, "How, Sway?"
That's
like
true.
the app that I live stream on Bigo Live, they over there, it's a lot of inmates that be on there, and they call it in college is what they call it. And these Negroes be on there live streaming and making money. They be getting
Yeah.
paid because people be like, it's a lot of women that be in there throwing their money at these Negroes. They locked up, and they be showing them making the spreads, or it might be like 5 or 10 of them huddled around the phone, and they like the women be picking and choosing like which one. They're like, oh, well, he got a girl. Oh, what about him right there? I'll be like, girl, y'all
Have you
But
seen
strippers.
the videos that they've been posting? Like the music videos? in the thong. The girl was in the thong.
And the female correctional officers are the ones sneaking and bringing the phones into them.
And it ain't just the females; it's a lot of males because they pay a lot of money and make money off of this stuff. So it's where a need is being created because the officers don't get paid as much as they should be getting paid.
They pay a lot of money for them damn phones, though.
Mm-hmm.
$2,000, $2,500 for them phones.
Yep. So a lot of the officers
think about where do they get the money from?
Somebody
from illegal
it.
trading of other drugs and stuff. The family members of the people that's paying to get it in there. It's family members that are sending money on what they used to have green dot cards, and that used to be the popular thing that inmates would have. Is they would send, people, family members would pay. You think you're sending your inmate money for this, that, the other, but really he running a whole organization in there. Like my friends how this girl baby daddy is locked up in hell. He sent her money every month and paying her bills.
Yeah, they be paying money. They be making some money up in there. They be running schemes on women, and these women be silly.
Because if you think about the profit margin that they making, like if like a regular 3.5 of marijuana may be like $35-$40, but in there they can sell it for probably $500. You know what I'm saying? Depending on where it's at and how much a person wants of it. It may not be 500, maybe 200 or 300. Either way, it's still a big profit margin of it. And it's crazy how, the things that are wanted. And like now they have their own tablets. They don't have iPads, but they got, Android tablets that they use to call on of and stuff now. So they have it where they can be laid up in their cell, and they don't want to be on the Android tablet. They want to be on a cell phone, especially an iPhone, where they can sit up and be on FaceTime with these women and doing this and doing that and making their deals and stuff.
Yeah, the tablet's limited to what they can do, and they're monitored.
Yeah, exactly. It's monitored and limited. They want unlimited stuff. Like I know somebody who got the brother in there, and he just messed his stuff up, getting caught with phones and caught with this and that, where he didn't got all his good time taken away. He could have been home 2 years ago.
For a phone?
Yeah, behind the damn phone. I said, that's crazy. I'm not giving them no 2 years extra to get no darn phone in there. There ain't that much talking in the world.
But they comfortable. That's where they want to be. Yeah. And most of them gonna come back in anyway.
I was telling my friend, she was like, he gonna give me some money, or she was setting up his business for when he got out. I said, how is you asking a nigga in jail for some money?
Yeah, they provide money.
They make a whole bunch of money. They be making more money, and then they don't have no bills to pay. So they make a whole bunch of money. They be running game on all these different women.
Yeah. And they may have 5
putting money on their
one woman sending money to the other one while he's sending that money to another woman. The Negroes be taking care of their baby mamas off of these side females that's sitting up here that dumb to be sending money and putting money on other people's books and different things. And now with the advent of prepaid debit cards and stuff and Cash App, baby, they really be moving money, because Cash App really done made it a way where they can move money real quick.
Hey y'all, so, I'm gonna say good night. I gotta be up for work at 6.
Oh, good night.
Good night.
I'm saying good night too, because I gotta be at work in
Thank y'all so much. Everybody, y'all go and get some rest. I appreciate everybody for coming on here. And I will post in the morning on when we'll be coming back, possibly tomorrow, to get into I'm ready to get to this cross. I want to get to this cross so bad. They just dragging this doggone direct out. Oh my God, tonight was crazy. All right, y'all. Listen, y'all have a great night. Thank you very much, House of the Princess. If y'all have not subscribed to House of the Princess channel, please do. House of the Princess, put your link in the channel, please. And also, Shay Jim Dropper got a channel. Y'all support them sisters, man. Listen, I'll holler at y'all later on. God bless y'all. And thank you for continuing to support the channel so we can continue to get these transcripts. God bless everybody.
God bless y'all, too. I'm going to start putting content on my YouTube, too.
Awesome. That sounds great. All right. Love y'all. See y'all later.
Y'all too. Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Haters, all good. Thought I couldn't when I could. Woo!